You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
I'm standing at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, looking down at a thin brass line set into the courtyard. People are queuing patiently to photograph themselves straddling it, 1 foot in the Eastern Hemisphere, 1 in the West. Phones are handed over to strangers. There's a brief moment of ceremony, then laughter, and the next person steps forward. Behind me, the observatory dome captures the light. Below, the Thames bends slowly towards the sea. It's a surprisingly modest place to find what we call the centre of the world. And yet, here we are, at 0 degrees longitude. At first glance, the line feels almost mystical, as if the Earth itself has decided to divide it here. But of course, nothing in the landscape suggests that. The hill doesn't split, the river doesn't hesitate, the wind moves freely across it. The line exists because we decided it should. And that decision was made in 1884, when representatives from 25 nations gathered in Washington for what was called the International Meridian Conference. The problem they were trying to solve was surprisingly practical. The world needed a shared reference point. Ships were navigating global waters, railways were synchronizing timetables, telegraphs were sending messages across continents, and everyone was measuring longitude differently. The French preferred Paris, of course. Others proposed alternative meridians. But by that time, British naval charts were already used across the world. British ships mapped coastlines. British chronometers kept maritime time. Greenwich had quietly become the working standard long before anyone voted on it. So the conference didn't so much invent the Prime Meridian as recognize a reality already shaped by trade, empire, and navigation. Greenwich became point zero. France, incidentally, abstained from the vote and continued using the Paris Meridian for another 27 years, a dignified reluctance to concede that the centre of measurement now lay across the Channel. What's remarkable is how much flows outwards from a single decision. Time zones radiate from here. Longitude everywhere on Earth is calculated in relation to this point. When your phone tells you where you are, satellites are effectively measuring your position relative to Greenwich. Every flight path, every shipping route, every global timestamp relies in some quiet way on this shared agreement. Standing here, it feels both enormous and strangely fragile, because if you step just a few meters away, the line disappears entirely. There is no mark in the grass, no seam in the soil. The Thames continues towards the sea without acknowledging our coordinates at all. Nature, as usual, has not received the memo, which makes the Prime Meridian one of humanity's more successful fictions. Not fiction in the sense of falsehood, but fiction in the sense of something imagined collectively and then made real through agreement. Because of this invisible line, ships don't collide, planes cross oceans safely, the global systems operate with extraordinary precision. But it also reveals something about power. The world is measurable, certainly. Yet measurement always begins somewhere, and someone had to decide where that somewhere is. In the 19th century, Britain possessed the naval reach, the scientific infrastructure, and the political influence to persuade others that its reference point should become everyone's. A line drawn in southeast London became the organizing axis of the modern world. And so people continue to come here, not just for the geography, but for the strange pleasure of standing inside an idea. We photograph ourselves balanced between East and West, participating in a story humanity has told itself in order to navigate a complex planet together. We're standing on something that doesn't physically exist, except that it does, because we agreed it does. The Earth turns exactly as it always has. The river flows below, unconcerned. But from this spot, we learned how to coordinate our movements across oceans and continents, how to share time itself. From here, the world is ordered, not by nature, but by imagination, a line made real through collective belief.